Here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this ambassador, how she's adapted to living in the wild, and what we can do to make a difference for her wild counterparts. Throughout our presentation, if you have any questions, please let me know. I would rather answer your questions than just stand up here and talk. But if you don't have any questions, that's okay, because I can talk about this little ambassador all day long. Just by show of hand, does anybody know what kind of animal she is?
Adorable.
Adorable doesn't count, but I said show of hands. An anteater. She is indeed an anteater. Also known as a lesser anteater, not because she's less than in any way, but because she is smaller than the giant anteaters. Have you guys seen the giant anteaters over there on the other end of the skyfari? Yeah, they're quite different in size and shape. If you ever see one of those climbing a tree, you are in trouble. There's not a good reason for them to be climbing trees. But this little ambassador, this little anteater, is going to spend most of her life up in the trees. Not only is she known as a lesser anteater, but the other name for her is a Tamandua, or a Tamandua, depending on your pronunciation. And they are found in Central and South America. That is where they're natively found. And they live up in the rainforest in the trees is where they spend most of their time. So she's got a lot of adaptations that help her survive living up in those trees. The first one is she moves kind of slow. She's related to animals like the sloth and the armadillo. So she can move very quickly, but for the most part, she moves very methodically. You'll never see her running through the trees. She's not going to do a lot of running on the ground. She's going to move nice and slow and methodical, and that way, predators are less likely to see
hanging only on her tail right there.
Her. She also has this wonderful extra appendage. She has got a fully prehensile tail. Does anybody know what prehensile means?
Nope, I don't know.
That's okay. It means to grasp or to grab, just like we are able to grasp, or an elephant's trunk is able to grasp. Her tail is able to support, clearly, her entire body weight. And then she has got incredible muscle strength, the way her muscles are designed. She has no need to swing up on top. She can hold on. She can literally hold on with two little toenails and pull herself up and over the top of that branch right there. So she's got, her muscle system is designed very different than how human muscles are designed, that allow her that extra strength when she's climbing around in that rainforest. The other adaptation she has is her coloration that helps keep her blended into her environment. So she's got a very light and dark coat. And Tamanduas all have this. Many of them have a lot darker coloration. They almost look like they're wearing a full suited vest. Or almost like a penguin is black and white. So they can be any range between very blonde and very black hair, depending on the Tamandua. We've actually got 3 Tamanduas that live here, and one of them has got a full suit black vest, and he looks very proper when he's out here. So they all have that very different coloration, but in theory, if you were a predator and this Tamandua was out in the rainforest, if you were on the ground and you were looking up, that blonde coloration would help blend into the light that's coming through the canopies of the trees. So she has a way of blending into her environment. And then if you were up above her, that dark vest, if she had a darker vest, would help her look like she was blending in like a branch of a tree. It's called disruptive coloration, and it helps blend her into her environment. Now, I mentioned a couple of predators. She's got some pretty big predators down there in Central and South America. Things like jaguars and ocelots are both big cats. Harpy eagles are a large bird of prey that can pull a 15-pound Tamandua. She's probably not 15 pounds, but she might be close to it. But they could pull a 15-pound Tamandua out of a tree, so they're a very large bird of prey. There's also large snakes that are able to prey upon a Tamandua. And then, of course, there are people who might prey upon them. So they've got predators that come from all different shapes and sizes. And so they've got to be able to defend herself. And the first thing she does if she feels threatened is she stands up, just like she did right there. She stands up and tries to look as big as she can. The bigger she looks, the scarier she looks. So when she stands up, you guys go, ah, because it's scary.
Scary!
Oh, good job. You guys are amazing. Good job. So she's very scary when she stands up. If that does not scare the predator away, she's got a secret weapon. Have any of you ever smelled a skunk before? Yeah, a few of us have. So these little guys are known as the stinkers of the rainforest because they can spray very similar to how a skunk sprays. But scientists, and I have no idea what the rating for this is, but they have decided that the Tamandua spray is 4 times more potent than the skunk spray. So if you have ever been sprayed by a skunk or ever smelled a skunk and thought, ooh, that is really bad, she smells 4 times worse than that. If any of you are smelling anything skunky right now, that is Stella. Did I even tell you her name? I didn't, did I? How rude of me. Everybody, this is Stella. Stella is our 2-year-old female Tamandua who lives here at Basecamp. She's been with us for just about a year now, and she came to us through the SSP. Has anybody heard of the SSP today throughout your day? That's all right. The SSP is a program. It's called the Species Survival Plan. And the idea behind that is kind of like Match.com for animals within a zoologic facility. And there are people who coordinate with zoos all around the world on who would be best paired with who to make babies and to make offspring. So Stella, who actually grew up, I believe, in Tennessee, yes, in Tennessee, came to us about a year ago to meet up with our male Tamanduas. And she's actually spent a little bit of time with both of our males, and so far she has not become pregnant, but we are continuing to hope and cross our fingers and to monitor. We actually have a full veterinary team here. Not only are they able to monitor her health, but we're able to approximate and teach her how to do ultrasounds. So she could go up to our hospital. She stands on a station where she puts her hands up. She stands upright. And then our doctors would be able to get a wand and ultrasound her, just like any woman who goes to the doctor for an ultrasound to check on your baby. We could check on hers as well. So far, no luck, but that's okay. She's still just only 2 years old, which makes her an adult, but a very young, inexperienced one. So that is how Stella came to be here. Now, I've talked for quite a bit. I have way more information I can share, but before I do, does anybody have any questions about Stella? Yeah. What is her prey? What does she eat? So what do you think she eats? She eats bugs, absolutely. I'm glad you said bugs because she obviously eats ants. She's an anteater, but she eats all kinds of bugs. Out in the wild, she's going to be eating things like ants, termites, bees, wasps. She might even eat some honey from bees' nests. So she's going to be eating all kinds of different bugs. Today she's not eating bugs, she's eating worms. And that's because it's a lot easier to feed worms to an anteater than it is to feed ants. She can eat upwards of about 9,000 ants in a single day. It's really difficult to house that many without them escaping and then just taking over everything that we own. So she could eat up to 9,000 ants, but instead we're feeding her a mixture of mealworms and waxworms. And then she gets a special diet item. It's called insectivore pellet, and that is designed by a nutrition company, and it fills in any nutritional gaps that she might be missing.
Sorry.
That was quite the swing. So she's getting that insectivore also, and that fills in those nutritional gaps for any animal who eats insects as a dietary supplement. Now, I mentioned how she eats them, but did you guys see when Kelly was over here, the tube that she was using to feed those worms? She might show us one more time. Now, Stella has a very special way of getting ants out of ant hills or termite mounds. She uses that long, sticky tongue. And that sticky tongue has got lots and lots of saliva on it, and that saliva is extra sticky, so it's able to pick up all the different bugs and worms that she is able to find. And that tongue does not stop in her mouth. It actually connects all the way down to her sternum. So her tongue is 16 inches long, give or take an inch. Just so you all know, that is the length of my forearm, all the way from my elbow up to the top of my fingers. 16 inches long, that tongue goes all the way down to her sternum. And she's going to be picking up to thousands and thousands of bugs and worms every single day for every single meal. But she's got a secret when she does that. She actually has a really good sense of smell, and she is known as a sustainable eater. So she's going to be eating all of the ants that she can find. She might be all finished. She might be saying, this is the fun part about working with animals, you guys, is you never know what they're thinking. All you can do is do your best guessing. But she might be headed back home, and that's okay because we always have choice for our animals. She always has her carrier available to her throughout every program. And that way, if she feels uncomfortable, full from all of her worms, or is just ready for a break from the sun and the heat, she can go into that carrier. So all of our animals always have the choice on how long their interactions with us are. Yes, go ahead.
There she goes. This is at the 1 o'clock Basecamp presentation.
Ooh, what a great question. I mentioned that they eat honey from bees. Do they have a coat thick enough to protect them from the stingers? They do not. They could actually get stung by bees and ants and termites, but they are very tolerant to it, so it's not going to bother them too much. They do have thicker skin, and their fur is very, very coarse. It helps them dry out in the rainforest when it rains all the time.
Bye, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to